All right, you guys, thank you so much for hopping on tonight's call. It is Monday, April 20th. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody for right now. And then if you need to talk or if you have questions about anything, go ahead and you can unmute yourself. But first of all, I just want to start off. We are getting to the end of the month. There's like 10 days or so left. And I want to just recognize a few people on the team. Emily Rickert has been blowing everything up. She has hit SC9 this month, and she has signed 4 new coaches, I think it was, while I was gone in Cancun last week. Is that right, Emily? I don't know if she can hear me. Lisa Carroll is one of her new coaches, and she's signed 6. She has SC6. Jessica Laska has 2. Lauren Kegg has 2 points. Sheena Arndt is my newest coach. She has 4. And she's just signed her first new coach, Cassandra Davis, who also has 2 SC points. So I just want to take a second to congratulate everybody and recognize all of you who have hit your goals or who are still pushing towards them. It's not too late. You can totally do this. You still have tons of time left. So there are a few announcements that I want to go over from the trip that I was just on in Cancun. I think you probably have heard, but just in case you haven't, last week the Club Kickstart Challenge Pack was launched. So that means you can sign up for club membership, have access to all of the online on-demand programs, and get the 3-day refresh. It's all, into the same challenge pack, and that's on sale for $180. If you haven't heard, it was announced, Carl announced, that this July we will be releasing the Beachbody Performance All New Breakthrough Nutrition Catalog. So it's a line of supplements that will include the Energize pre-workout, there's a Hydrate during workout, there is a Recover post-workout, a Recharge nighttime, and then there's a Plus Beachbody Performance Creatine. So there's 5 new things, and they are all for our nutrition catalog. Does anybody have any questions about those? All right. So the even more exciting news is the brand new program that Shaun T will be releasing this coming July at Summit. It's called Size. So it's another dance video. I'm really excited because I know it's his passion. Dancing is what he loves, and it's like group dance. And we got to hear from him on stage, and he just talked about, that's how he was found. He was found because he was a group instructor, and he was actually just a sub. So what they had realized was while he would sub, and if people knew in advance, the class was packed over and over and over. And so that's when Beachbody heard about him, and they started kind of following him and seeing what kind of following he had and whatnot. But those programs, it's a 4-week program, and the workouts are 35 to 40 minutes each. So I don't know too much more about that. It says that in each routine, he'll break down all of the challenging moves step by step, and then he builds up to the full dance sequence. So I know that Leslie and Anita have it right now. Raina does too, but I've heard from Leslie and Anita. And Anita's in love with it, but she has all that crazy energy. So I knew she would be. But my biggest advice for you when it comes to this is don't say anything yet, because it's April. You still have all of May, all of June, and it won't be released until July. So if you start talking about it today and you have people who are interested, they're just going to sit here and not do anything, and they'll probably forget about it. And, if you haven't hit your goals for SC, don't do it yet, because you can still have somebody start with Shakeology, and you can still have someone start and finish an entire program before the end of July by the time they would get this. So I would not suggest starting to talk about it yet. I would just hold off on it. As far as Success Club for April, if you have not hit your goals yet and you are working on it, my big tips for you are to follow up. If you had people in any of our free groups at the beginning of the month, make sure you send them a personalized message and say, hey, how have things been going since the sugar detox that we did? Have you been keeping up? Do you need help with anything? I have another group that's going on, and it's a little more intensive, but it's a lot more fun, and it has tons more support, and we include fitness. There's an entire meal plan. Invite them personally, like follow up with them. If you have people who are in your challenge groups right now, I want you to message every single one of them and say, hey, Emily, you've been doing such an amazing job, and I know you're having fun with this, and you have been so active in our group. Have you ever thought about doing what I do? You basically already are, but you could get paid for it. Just see what they say. The worst thing someone can say to you is no. Okay, moving on. So make sure that if you haven't reached your goals, that's what you need to be doing for this month. We do have the sneak peek that started today. It's not too late to add people. If you still have someone, go ahead. If you need to be added to the group, let me know. And we also have the Biz App call this week, Wednesday, with Mark. So if you have a man that you think would be great at this or who might be interested, please, please, please add them or invite them to this week, Wednesday's call, because it's not often that we have men who do these calls. And honestly, I know that it's really difficult for a man to call in and get anything out of most of our Biz App calls, because who wants to hear two stay-at-home moms talk about how awesome it is to be with the kids all day if you're a man who's working a full-time job? So I think that's all I have as far as like announcements and everything. So I kind of want to just get to tonight's call. And what I want to talk to you all about was the top 10 panel that I got to watch while I was in Cancun. All the top 10 coaches from 2014 went on stage. They were with Jeff Hill, and they were kind of just shook down on their best practices and their best advice and what they would go back and change and what they finally did to change the direction of their path to get them to top 10. So I took tons of notes and I recorded, and I want to break it all down for those of you who couldn't be there with me. And I have pretty much 8 tips, or the 8 things that I kind of heard over and over and over again. And I will tell you what all of those are. And then there were 4 things that were kind of like last minute from our top 4 coaches. So things that I heard over and over again. Number 1, personal development. And I know that's a complete shocker to all of you, and you've never heard any of us tell you that before. But personal development, every single one of them said that it has helped them overcome their barriers. So it doesn't matter if their barrier was like Melanie Mitchell, hers was time management. You'll hear her say it over and over again. It's something she still struggles with, but she's gotten so much better at. It could be doubt. It could be that you're an introvert. It could be organization. Whatever it is that you are struggling with in your life, whether it's faith or family, or if your biggest issue is your relationship with your husband, that's something you need to work on. And it's not because you think, oh, that's going to help me in my business. But if you're fighting with your husband every single day and you feel as though you're just so angry, that's the pit of what's going on. And if you can't get past that, if you are so angry every day, you're just going to portray that through your business and every time you talk to somebody. So you need to focus on whatever it is that you're kind of struggling with or whatever you need help with, and work on that personal development every single day. Number 2, never stop working on yourself. So this isn't just about personal development, but this isn't just about mental. It's also spiritual and physical. So you've got to do your workouts. But besides that, something that Lindsay Matway said when she was talking about this was when she was a brand new coach, it was like her first year, and somebody quoted John C. Maxwell, and they said, quote, "Why strengthen your strengths when or why strengthen your weaknesses when you can strengthen your strengths? So if you have a list of things, from leadership to listening skills to organization, if those are 3 things that you're working on, and your leadership skills are a 5, and your organizational skills are a 2, and your listening skills are an 8, why would you sit and work on organizing if you can take your listening skills and take them from an 8 and turn them into a 9 or a 10? If you can take something and become a master at it, and you can become an expert at it and be as great as you can, why wouldn't you work on becoming amazing instead of taking everything and just becoming mediocre, right? So never stop working on yourself. And that was kind of the biggest thing I think I took away from Lindsay. And I really love that quote because I know that I personally have struggled on a few things in the last year. And I'm reading actually another John C. Maxwell book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I have a workbook with it, and he kind of breaks everything down. And for me, that was a really great book because he takes all of these different skills and you rank yourself on them and you figure out where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. And for me, I was able to walk away and go, oh, so instead of focusing on all this stuff that I was trying to become better at, and every day I just feel like a failure because I don't feel like I'm getting any better at it, I should just start working on my strengths and making them better because I'm not perfect and none of them are 10s. So if I can turn them into 10s, that's only going to help make me a better leader somehow. So number 3, be proud of who you are. Lori Stewart's biggest regret for her, she said, was not telling people that she was a coach for almost an entire year. It's not that people didn't know, but when she was writing on Facebook, she never ever invited people like on her Facebook page, or she never said like, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach. Or if people asked her like, what do you do? She would just say like, oh, I'm a mom. So she never told. So she said that she didn't want to post and she didn't want to introduce herself as a coach because she was embarrassed. She didn't want to be judged. She didn't want to be seen as another one of those MLMs. And we all have those thoughts about them. But Amy Silverman, who is the number 3 coach, she said that you just have to make yourself a priority. You have to. You cannot half-ass this business. You have to be all in and don't be ashamed of it. She said, if you went to school to be a doctor, you wouldn't walk around going like, oh, I'm just a mom. No, you're a doctor and you save lives and you rock it. And if you were a waitress, you would say, I'm a waitress and I work at this restaurant. And if you bagged groceries or were a cashier, you would do that because you might not be making $1 million, but it's a respectable job and it's a job. So as a Beachbody coach, why wouldn't you tell people? You're changing lives every single day, whether it's just your life or if you have one customer, that means you've changed 2 lives. Or if you have family that you have helped who are borrowing your workout programs, you may not have made hundreds of dollars, but you've helped them. So why would you ever be embarrassed of that, right? Rock it. Like, be proud of who you are because being a coach is awesome. So number 4, don't ever stop recruiting. You've heard it before that it's definitely a business that's built on relationships, but honestly, long-term success here, it comes down to numbers. This is a numbers game. So you have to build relationships, of course, but you have to keep talking to people. So if you talk to 1,000 people a day or a month or a year or whatever, you'll probably get 100 of those to become a customer. And out of those 100 customers, you'll probably sign maybe 10 of them as a coach. And out of those 10, one of them might go diamond. So if you're looking to make this long-term, you are looking for huge success and for money that continues like growing, you need to stop worrying about the 5 people you talk to and just keep pushing. You need to keep talking. You need to keep recruiting constantly. Okay. Number 5, when it comes to recruiting, how do you do it without making this business feel icky, right? I know we've all kind of been there where you just feel like another post, or, we all kind of have our topic, I think, that makes something feel icky for us. Like Leslie is someone who can sit there and talk until she's blue in the face about how much money she makes, right? Money doesn't faze her. It's not an issue. That's because she's a yellow and she's all in this to have fun. So she's like, yeah, I make money and I have tons of fun spending it. Okay. I'm not really someone who can do that. Every once in a while, I can do a random post about, money, but I've never posted my paychecks or talked about exactly what I make or anything like that. If my team wants to know, I'm more than happy to share it. But for like the general public, I feel icky, right? So if you're someone who feels icky by that, you just have to figure out what it is for you that you love about Beachbody and figure out how exactly it's helped your family. So it can be about your paycheck if you're comfortable about that, or it doesn't have to be about the number, but it can be about how Beachbody paid for your groceries this week or your cell phone bill this month, or however it helped you. It doesn't have to be a huge change. It can be something big. It can be something small. It can be that you were able to help your family out. Were you able to cut back in hours at your full-time job, or were you able to go from 3 jobs down to 2 or just 1? Have you lost weight, or have you been able to go off of medication, or have you been able to help a friend or a family member drop their blood pressure? These are all things and all reasons that you should be proud of being a coach. And for somebody out there, they're going to hear that story and go, oh my gosh, that's kind of amazing. I wish I could do that. And that's how you guys end up attracting people who are like you. You just have to find your truth and your why and your reason for continuing to do this, because something has happened with Beachbody that makes you continue even when it's hard. And that is your reason. That's your why. And those are things that you want to share with people, because when the times get tough, they'll have the same understanding as you, because you guys will understand each other. So that brings me to number 6. And this honestly might be, for me, the most important thing. And I think that it is something that kind of dawned on me. I feel like my light bulb went off a few months ago, and this was it for me. And it is be yourself. I can promise you that for the first probably year of coaching, I listened to everything that every top coach ever said. And so many of them, ironically, in our team in TPL, were saying, just watch other top coaches and see what they're doing and mimic them and whatnot. And honestly, all of a sudden, I realized that was great to an extent, but kind of a waste of my time in the long run. Because what I ended up doing was trying to be them, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm going through their posts and I'm scrolling through their feed and I'm going like, oh, I have 2 kids like Melanie, and like, oh, I want to be like Lindsay. Like, who doesn't want to make that kind of money and like, be top coach of the year, and she pulled herself out of debt, and oh, I want to be like Leslie, who just lives down the road from me. Like, literally, I can throw a rock at her house. She's just there. Like, I know I can do it. So if I just be like them, right? Like, Leslie is the realest person I know out of all of these unreal people, because she does live down the road and I know her personally and I've seen her house and her car and I've watched her business thrive and change. So I think I just started acting like them and or trying to post like them. And it's crazy, right? Because eventually you're going to run out of things to say, or you're going to start contradicting yourself, or you just get that ick feeling again where you're thinking, God, like someone has to see right through me, right? Right? So I just realized, and it was kind of funny because I often heard like from Anita, like you need to make sure that you are stalking the top 10 coaches and following them and doing them and like recreating their posts to make it your own. But that's not you. That's not who I am. It's not who she is. And she was the one who sat up on this post or on the stage and said, I just had this like aha moment when I was reading one night. And I realized, she said, I was trying to be you, Melanie, and I was trying to be you, Lindsay, and I was trying to be my upline sponsor. And all of a sudden I went like, oh my God, that's not me at all. Like, it's not me. I'm not being real. So she said, I sat down at my computer one night and I just bawled my eyes out and wrote my story. Like, it was so my truth that I cried the whole time I wrote it. And I just sat there like doubting myself. Like, is this really what I should be doing? Should I be putting this out here for everybody to judge me and to criticize and whatnot? And she did. She threw it out there because she had no other option, she felt like. It was do it and find out, or continue trying to be someone else, and it's not going to work anyway because I'm failing at it. And she said that she had so much positive feedback. And for the first time, she felt like, this is great. This is me. And it feels really good to be me, because all of a sudden, like, the barriers came off. And she stopped caring what people thought because they already knew. If people didn't like her, they didn't have to follow her. They don't have to be her friend. They can just disappear, right? So that's the most important thing I really think that I got out of this. Just be yourself. And after Anita got done telling her story, Jeff Hill said, you know, I was talking to another coach a couple days ago, and they were talking very similarly about a story and how they just decided that everybody they knew was an expert. Like, in order to be successful, they thought that everybody had to be an expert in something. And so he or she had spent all this time like trying to become experts on like what all the other top coaches were doing. What were all the other elite coaches doing? And all of a sudden he realized over time that they became an accidental expert, because what they became an expert in was their own life. And that's what I want all of you to do. Don't be anybody else. Use other people. Like, you can use other people's posts as for creativity and whatnot, but please just make sure it's you. Like, make sure you're being you. So I'll stop with that. But number 7, make sure you're tracking everything you're doing. It's one thing that we heard every single one of those coaches say is that they wish they had started tracking sooner, because you can't improve your future if you don't know what you did in the past. So if you're using your BAT, that's perfect. If you hate your business activity tracker, do whatever works for you. Like, I don't care if it's the BAT. I don't care if it's scratches on a notebook. I don't care if it's your notes on your in your memo note section on your iPhone. You just need to make sure you're tracking every single day, every single week, so that you can go back and see, I didn't hit my goals. This is what I did here. So I need to bump it up. This didn't work. I need to do more in this area or this area. Or if you don't hit your goals this month that you want to do, you need to be able to look back at what you did and see where maybe you can improve. Okay? And finally, number 8, be consistent. And I really think that there's not much more to say than be consistent. Take everything I just told you, 1 through 7, be consistent with all of them. We ended the panel with Jeff asking the top 3 coaches, and we heard from the top 4, what their biggest piece of advice was for any coach who was pushing to make it to the top 10, or any coach who was pushing to become successful or hit Premier or go diamond. No matter what your goal is, if you're on this call or you're listening to it, you're pushing for something. So this was their advice. Melanie said, don't miss your workouts. Your workout is your business. So it's your job to be consistent, and it's your business to do your workouts. And if you're struggling, that's the number one thing you need to do. You need to work out every day, and you need to post about it. There is not a day that goes by that you do not see Melanie Mitchell post on her Instagram and on her social media or her Facebook pages, both of them, about her workout. Every day, there is a workout selfie. Every single day. And then she said, and don't be afraid of failure, because you will fail more times than you can imagine. So then Lindsay kind of played off of that, and she said, yeah, you will fail constantly. But we all beat ourselves up over it. But instead of beating yourself up, she said that you need to make sure that you're using that failure and turning it around and making it a lesson. Learn from it. Don't turn it into self-doubt, because we all have enough of that already. So use it as an experience. Turn it into a lesson for yourself, and then share it with your team so that maybe they don't have to. And then Amy said, we all just need to be honest with ourselves. And I really love Amy because she's kind of this hippie, earth-loving chick. She's just so down to earth and just like, we need to be honest, and we all need to love ourselves, but we need to be honest with ourselves, because we all know that we have that chatter that goes on, and it's kind of that self-doubt. So we're constantly talking to ourselves and saying, you can't do this, or you're not supposed to be there, or you're never going to be successful. And she said, but the thing is we can divorce our feelings, and we can divorce those emotions. So this is your business. And if you want to hit your goals, you have to be honest with yourself. And if you are not hitting your goals, it's because you're telling yourself a lie that's making you believe that you can't do it, and you're holding yourself back. So then Lori, the last thing that was said was, she said, you need to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Every time you step outside of your box or outside of your comfort zone, you're allowing yourself to grow. You're allowing yourself to do something you never had before. So if your biggest fear is inviting someone, do it. Do it once. If you can do it once, even if someone says no, you did it and you didn't die. So you can do it again, right? There's nothing that you just have to become comfortable. If you can constantly push your envelope and you can constantly push yourself to try something new and to step outside of that comfort zone, you guys are going to eventually see success, whether you want to or not. Okay, so my big thing is that I told Rachel, here, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone right now. I told Rachel last year that I wanted to push for top 25. Specifically, I said, I think maybe top 10, but I don't really know, because I don't really want all that kind of stress. And then I'm not going to lie, I saw the top 10 elite trip for next year, and I kind of broke down into tears. And I called my husband, who was in Japan at the time, and I was like, did you see that? And he was like, what? And I was like, that trip is our trip. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he hadn't seen it. And I said, that was our dream trip. Like, we sat down one night when we were doing dream boards, and the hotel they're staying at and Fiji and where they're going and everything, it is like our dream trip, like the exact thing. I have it saved somewhere. And I was like, this is it. It's my sign. I'm supposed to be working for top 10. And then I never shared it with any of you, because I was like, they don't care. That's not their dream. That's my dream. That's mine. But I can't do it without any of you. And I would really love for all of us to be there together. And I think it's possible, because Lindsay's going to be there, probably. And Lindsay will probably be there with Melanie, and Melanie will probably have Brittany, and there's going to be like half of the top 10 will be from Lindsay's team. So why can't the other half be from ours, right? Okay, so I believe in you guys, and I need to share my dreams and goals with all of you. But I know that I can't push anyone to do anything that they don't want to. And I don't want to do that. I want to push you guys to to your extreme and to know where it is that you want to go. So I have an assignment for each of you this week. And that is number 1. I want you to share your goals with me. And if I'm not your upline, make sure you also share them with them. And today's Monday. I would like these by Wednesday if possible. And I want you to dream big, because if you're on this call or you're listening to it, I know that you're looking for success. Maybe you haven't found it yet, but I know that you want it. I know you can taste it. I know you can vision it. So I want you to just start treating this like you are your own CEO of your own business, because that's exactly what you are. I can't make you do anything and I can't push you to, but I'm definitely here to help you and to guide you and to hold you accountable. So you're the only one in control of your destiny and your success. But let's start by working together and telling me what you want your success to look like. What do you want your destiny to be? Okay, number 1. And then number 2, I want every single one of you on this team to start tracking. And I want a bat, or I want your own system or whatever, every single week, Wednesday night. Okay? I don't want anyone going to bed without sending it to me, because like I've said, you need to be consistent and you need to track. And I know most of you need the accountability, and I'm going to help you do it. So every week, I need a bat from all of you. And if you think that sounds crazy, it's not, because Melanie Mitchell still requires them from every single one of her working coaches, which is 400. So I don't think it's too much to ask. And if you guys, I know you can do this and get me your bats. And if you can do that, that means to me that you're really taking this business seriously. And if you're taking the business seriously, I don't care if you're just a coach or if you're a diamond, I'm willing to help you in any way that I can. But if you are not going to take the business seriously, I unfortunately have to take my time and spend it with people who are. Right? Sounds fair? Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we lose each other? We have 4 minutes here. I'll go ahead. I'm going to unmute everybody. Does anybody have any questions or comments about tonight's call?
Do you use the bat that's on the Beachbody website, or do you have your own?
I've kind of bounced around all over, but right now I am using the bat that is on the Beachbody website. I started using that one. I hated it, but then I became so scatterbrained that I wasn't doing anything. So I just went back to it because I needed the accountability of something. Mm-hmm. But if that doesn't work for you, I'm totally okay with whatever does. Like Linda has used it in the past, and then there are some weeks from Linda, I just get like all the scribble from her notebook, and that's okay. So whatever works for you.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm sure I'll have questions eventually. I just got to dissect everything. That was a lot of information.
That's okay. And like I said, I am recording this. So after this call, I'll go ahead and pop it on YouTube, and then I'll share it on our team page.
I took notes in it.
Oh, yay.
And the one that you sent me.
I saw that. All right, you guys, then I'll go ahead and wrap this up. If anybody thinks of something, feel free to, put a message on the team page. And don't stop pushing, because it's not the end of the month yet. You still have tons of time to hit your goals, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you guys for hopping on tonight.